I'll repeat that since we are now recording. We'll call this meeting to order. And Michelle, if you wanted to make note of the attendance, that would be great. This is our final meeting. I just got a text message from Michelle Slides. She will not be joining, unfortunately. All right. Has everybody reviewed the minutes from May and August that were previously circulated with the email about today's meeting?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, do we need to do them separately or can we just vote on them both at the same time? Oh, wait, give us a second. Michelle or Sarah texted, she has the wrong Zoom link. Let me get her the link here. See if this works. All right, so I think
We
this is
should vote separately if we can. That way people can vote if they want to vote yes or no. Either way, not have it be confusing.
okay. No, a second. All right. All right, I just sent Sarah a text letting her know that the link is on the agenda. Hopefully she has that on her email. All right, so then let's go ahead and did everybody review the May minutes? And did anybody have any changes?
No.
I do have one change for the May minutes. In the May minutes, it has mention of that we brought up that the resident that was the citizen that was on the call brought up the circulator, and then I also brought up the circulator and hot meals, and on there it says Meals on Wheels, except that service does offer hot meals to non-senior adults, but I was referring to the hot meals program that Lakewood has for seniors. So if you could update that to reflect hot meals provided by Lakewood Senior Center or Department of Aging or whichever department. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Okay.
I
So
can
with
make
that,
that correction. Yep.
yeah. So with that, does anyone want a motion to approve minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Chris Cowan, motion to approve. Me seconds. All in favor? Aye.
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 I
I can't see Christina, but I'm assuming she said aye. Okay.
I actually was not in the May or August meeting, so I will abstain from voting.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so minutes approved on August minutes. Did everybody review those? And does anyone want a motion to approve the August minutes?
All motion to approve.
Tom, motions to approve. Anybody second?
will second it.
Chris seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstaining since I wasn't present.
Okay, gotcha. August minutes are approved. Okay, and next on our agenda, we have discussion to, okay. So we're gonna just, I mean, obviously, we're ready to move this transition plan forward, so I mean, does anybody have anything that they want to say about the transition plan? Any input that you have that you weren't able to put in previously?
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who worked on it, especially our chairs and Michelle. And so, but I mean, I reviewed all of the content before and it was fine. So I don't have anything else to add or subtract or anything from that.
I was just curious how many public comments we got. I didn't have a chance to to read through and see if that was in the document somewhere.
It is in there. It was over 100. It wasn't as high as 200. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a nice number of comments on on the transition plan overall. That was from the whole survey, throughout.
Was that over 100 individuals or just over 100 comments made?
I would have to look at, I'd have to ask Steve for that distinction.
Okay,
So these are from the survey, not from when the plan was put out for public review, correct?
Correct.
oh, no,
Yeah.
I mean, comments on the public, during the public comment period.
We got, I think, one comment, and that was, so, sometimes I take that as a positive. If people are looking at it and they think it looks good, they don't see anything that stands out, I think that's a positive. It still is at both libraries and at Cove Community Center. I still have the hard copies there. I'm gonna go and retrieve them, but I thought if they were there a little longer, if they want to keep them even, they can. And then they're always available in the printed copy, still available on our website for that document. So
So,
I have one copy.
I would love to have a printed copy if you have an extra one.
Sure, I could find a way to get you a printed copy, Tracy.
Thank
I'm trying to declutter. I am fine with just the electronic version over here.
I'm
The
kind of
sheer
a
length of that.
tangible, I like to have the tangible thing, you know?
Sure.
All right, so that being said, the only comment that I have pertains to the next item. So let's go ahead and do this. What are we doing? We're voting to move this forward to city council for them to implement this plan.
Yes, voting to recommend city council adopt the transition plan, the self-evaluation and transition plan as presented.
All right, so I can't motion as chair or,
You can make the motion. You can motion for number 4 on the agenda. You can make the motion.
I'll motion. I'll save Tracy the feeling of conflict.
All right.
I'll second your motion, Ami.
Okay, so we're taking the vote now?
Yep, all in favor of recommending adoption of the transition plan by city council.
Aye.
I,
Aye. Christina?
Yay!
Yay.
Yay.
Ding!
I feel like a baby was just birthed.
I mean, please, baby.
Awesome.
All right, so that being said, I just want to say that I guess the 23rd is the date of the council meeting.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk to Sarah, right? I'll mention it right now, but also just to get us, you know, some airtime to be able to speak if we choose to. And at that meeting, and if anybody is for sure confirming attendance, go ahead and let us know. I'm going to be there. And so we're excited about that.
Is
And-
it 7 o'clock, correct?
7:30.
7:30, okay, thank you.
Putting in my calendar right now to make sure I don't get double booked, because I wasn't sure what time I needed to be there. I would have probably been there at 6 if we hadn't just had this conversation.
So now it says like on the timeline here, though, that the city council review is on the 23rd, but then it says below it sometime in November, they formally adopt the self-evaluation transition plan. So what is that? This is just a delivery on the 23rd?
Yeah, so the traditional, sorry, Michelle, not to jump on you, but I figured
Oh,
that
I
was
was
the new-
hoping you would take that one, Sarah.
So typically what happens would be that, so this would be in the new business section. We go through old business first typically and then new business. If there's a lot of you there, I can ask John Litton, who's the president of council, if we can move it to the front so you can all get on with your lives. But generally speaking, it gets introduced at full council. That gets it on the docket. Things are typically read 3 times before they're adopted. And so what would typically happen then is I would expect this to be referred to, it typically gets referred to committee for further discussion. So I don't know if that would go to Health and Human Services, which I would like because I chair that. But, or it could go to Public Works, it could go to Planning, could go to Committee of the Whole since it touches on everything. So council will, somebody will make a motion about where to send it. And then we'll take a vote on which committee to refer it to. And then that committee meeting will also be on a Monday, but I don't know, until we know what committee and the schedule, we don't know yet which night that will be on committee. So, but we'll definitely let everybody here know when that goes to committee, so you can also come to the committee meeting. Typically, so at full council meetings, there's always public comment, always. So on any, you know, so this, when it's introduced, you can sign in to speak, and anyone who signs in to speak gets 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes. And at committee meetings, it's at the discretion of the chair whether there's public comment. I would expect that there would be time allotted if you know, anybody wanted to make comments, or probably we will at the committee meeting ask, you know, Michelle and Andy and any other staff experts too, Steve, I'm sure, will present. And then once it's in committee, then it gets referred, assuming favorably, out of committee. So if the 3 council members on that committee decide to refer it back to full council for adoption, favorably out of committee, which I would expect, then it comes back to full council. And then, so that is why it says in November, and that's not hard and fast because it just sort of depends on scheduling, but essentially, so it'll come back to full council and then it'll get voted for adoption. So that's the process that I would expect to happen. Council does have the option to just, if you want to get into nitty-gritty, that we can like vote to, you can take a roll call vote and move to adopt it without, you know, third reading and break our rules and stuff like that. But I wouldn't expect it on something of this magnitude. This is a, you know, very expensive, very significant plan. So I would expect it to go to committee for sure.
I wouldn't want that either. I don't think any of us would, because, you know, it's been such a hard process to get this, that the more people that have eyes on it, the better, right?
Right. And it
So-
also gives more opportunity for us to promote it to the public of, we're doing this, you know, I always post it, share it out, tell people like, you can come to council, watch us online, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll give us a chance to air it more at the committee meeting, because then you usually get a half an hour to an hour of just focus on this one topic, rather than at a full council meeting, there could be 20 different things going on. So.
Okay, well, yeah, definitely keep us in the know on that date of the committee that it is discussed, and then and we're allowed to attend, then I'll be there.
Yep, you're definitely allowed to attend. They're always open to the public.
Great.
Sarah, if you could please ask for us to be early in the agenda, I would appreciate it, because I would like to have my children present and they need to get to bed. It's a school night.
Sure. Yeah, I can, if we think a lot of folks, I mean, I can ask anyway, but if there's I would imagine that a lot of you probably want to be there when it's introduced. And like I said, there'll be more detailed conversation about it in committee, but it's very exciting. It's a big deal. So if you want to come and, you know, share the joy we can.
I'm intending to show up. It's Christina.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I'll ask John if we can move it up. And I see Chris is raising her hand too. Does that mean you're gonna be there too, Chris? Okay, cool.
All right, so I skipped around, sorry about that. We were on the subject of the adoption, so I'm gonna back up to the item previous that we were gonna talk about. The discussion to recommend an ongoing accessibility commission board. Hopefully, I'm hoping it will be citizen run, similar to like LCRAC or, you know, any of the citizen run councils, just to like keep track of what's going on, of, you know, concerns in the community, the progress of the ADA transition plan adoption, you know, any new changes to the ADA, how that will be incorporated into adjusting the transition plan, and so on and so forth. So these are things, you know, an accessibility commission would do, and they would be pretty busy, I presume. So I wanted to personally motion for us to make a formal recommendation and vote on the recommendation to ask city council and the mayor to create an ongoing accessibility commission that would be standing as long as the ADA transition plan was being implemented. So for the next 30 years at least, and to have it specifically say that task force, or that, not task force, but that commission will run tandem with the implementation of the transition plan, adoption of it, and how it will be implemented in the coming years. So does anybody want to second my motion for this accessibility commission?
I would like to add,
Christina.
I would like to add to it.
Okay.
I would add in the recommendation that a certain percentage of that, whatever that group is called, be people that are open about the fact that they are disabled, so that it stays aligned with nothing about us without us. My phone's ringing. I think it might have been one of my kids' friends' moms, but they're gonna have to wait. Anyway, so nothing about us without us, having us, you know, maybe a majority of the membership of that be people who identify as disabled in some manner. Mental health, invisible disabilities are real disabilities too. So it doesn't have to be wheelchair users like me, or, you know, people that have, you know, that you look at them, you can tell they're disabled, but being willing to openly, publicly identify as a disabled person, at least half the committee or group or whatever, so that they're bringing their embodied experience of living in this space in a disabled body to the conversation, and that's always present at the table.
Yes, agreed that, you know, it should be definitely a versatile group of people, just like this group is, where there's experts in, you know, experts in the implementation of, you know, plans for cities, as well as experts in people that are trying to access people, places, and programs and things, you know. So we should have a very wide variety of eyes on this progress. And I feel like this task force was very well put together, as far as like, you know, we all have a different perspective on accessibility. So yeah, so if we could go ahead and vote on that formal recommendation, and then we can, of course, you know, flesh it out as time goes on, you know, working with Sarah and working, you know, we can still, even though this is our last meeting, like, we could still as individuals, like, work with our city leaders to make sure that this task, or that this commission happens, and that it does in fact exist. So
And actually, I would like to add,
Go ahead.
since some of the transition plan is built environment and public right of way, I think there should always be an architect and civil engineer coming with the technical expertise to lead and guide the group as well.
yeah, agreed. Like, if it, you know, how we have like Michelle and Andy here, like, this would be like, maybe like we would have like a public works person, or somebody that's like hands-on, somebody that, you know, Michelle, of course, but somebody else that's like a city engineer, or somebody hands-on that's, you
I was
know.
talking from the public, from a citizen. Like,
Oh,
I'm an
oh, gotcha,
architect, I
yeah, yeah.
understand have citizen input of somebody who has the technical expertise, not just the lived experience.
Right, right.
Because we
of course.
are in, applying the law and the technical code requirements as well.
Would having somebody from the building department designated as being a part of the group so that it's citizen and staff meet that need, in your opinion, Christina?
Well, I think it should be, I mean, I like the idea of being resident led. I mean, this is our community.
Mhm.
I think that we will see things, I sometimes will shoot an email to Michelle saying, hey, I see this issue. Can you address it? So I think more residents we have in the community in these spaces that a staff may or may not go to. I'm just thinking about, the demographics of this group and what would serve Lakewood, get the lived experience, but also making sure we have the technical expertise if somebody sees something.
Does anybody know how much difficulty there's been in recruiting for the Architectural Board of Review? Would it maybe make more sense to, whenever the issues that involve architectural issues are coming up, whatever this new group is, would be advised to collaborate with them, since I know that they already have architects that are a part of that process?
Well, I feel like that whoever, like,
speaking.
I feel like that we have like very little control over who they appoint to this task force, but we can make suggestions. But of course, like whoever the committee is in the long run is gonna have choices to ask people of expertise to come and talk to them if they need it. And of course, there's the opportunity to appoint people of expertise to the Accessibility Commission, but I mean, that's kind of down the road, but we can always have those discussions like with our city leaders and our city council members of our suggestions and everything. And hopefully like it'll be just like they put this task force together, it'll be a solid group of people. And just the point is to make sure that we have one. So I would like to go ahead, Sarah, sorry.
Well, I just wanted to ask just a clarifying thing. So, in some of the conversations we've had too, is like some of the things that this group has talked about that are sort of more, they're not necessarily built environment or fully within, let's say, like city employees aren't going to necessarily be doing, but are things that are more adjacent to like inclusion and equity and like sort of the human factors of our community. And so I was just wondering whether is your vision for this group to be sort of, I guess I was just thinking more, not necessarily just tying it to the transition plan, but sort of being, certainly that's a very important part of this, of what the work would be, but would it also be, sort of intersectionality and like working with the broader community and sort of, maybe some educational components and that sort of thing. So that I'm just wondering if, and maybe that's not your vision, but I just wanted to get some clarity on that.
So
Sarah,
I
my vision.
wanted to respond to this real quick, and then Ami also had a comment. So as far as like, the perfect example is like, okay, so if there was this woman who had Down syndrome and she went down to take her driver's test, and the gentleman at the counter said to her, you can't take your driver's test. We aren't going to give you a driver's license, right? And she was devastated, obviously. And who are you going to call, right? So they have an ADA coordinator at the BMV. So that would be an example of like a human story that isn't necessarily like attached to like a transition plan, right? So maybe this group of people are just people that are out in the community, making the community aware of the committee, making people aware of the transition plan so that people in the community can reach out. You know, maybe they're intimidated maybe they don't know anything about an ADA coordinator, right? Maybe they don't even know yet that they have access to these, to Michelle, right? So the group would be a group of people that would be, you know, able to kind of connect between the community and the city on the human level as well, like you just said.
Sarah voiced pretty much my vision on this. It's less about the built environment. We already have the architectural review board or board of review. I can never remember what the letter order is on that. And I would, my big concern is the siloing that tends to happen. Like the architectural people they don't seem to be checking about accessibility. Like, you know, that Elmwood and Madison, that storefront that during the course of our meetings was completely the face of it was completely redone and the step up was maintained, and it's a brand, you know, the facade is brand new, several feet into the building is brand new, and I still can't get into that building. And the architects reviewed that and approved that. I would like to see public buildings, you know, whatever this committee, when there's a plan for a public space or intrusion into the public right of way, that whatever the new group is gets pulled in to consult on those decisions instead of the decision being siloed to the trained professionals with no input from the people who are directly impacted by these kinds of decisions being approved.
So Ami, you made a great point, because also, like, if we would be like, the committee would be a resource to the city also to say, hey, could you guys look at this, tell us your feedback, come and do a roll through on the property, see if we thought of everything. So there would, you know, a volunteer group of citizens that would be a resource to members of city council, to Michelle, to be able to ask us our input as individuals with disabilities, and also as citizens of the city who have expertise, such as Christina or somebody that you know, was part of this committee. Because a lot of times we get a lot of questions from you guys at LCRAC too, like, can you guys give us feedback on A, B, and C? Even when they appointed the racism task force, we reviewed those applications and we gave our vote on the anti-racism task force appointees. So that might be like something, there could be all kinds of things along the road as this transition plan is put into place where there's a question mark. And then you have a group of people that you can go to that you say, okay, well, we have a question mark. What do you guys think? You know, not just for a group of people to go, where are you guys at? You know, where are they at on this? Not like a review board, but more just like like an advisory board, a resource, like a community relation, like LCRAC, but specifically for the accessibility. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was hoping you were. That's kind of what I was like, I just think it's a nice idea to have, you know, like we have the tree education and advisory board, and it's not, but I was just picturing kind of, I think, you know, I could see this group, the continuation grouping doing some of that work of, you know, things will come before council and we refer them to LCRAC or anti-racism or tree advisory board to be like, okay, we have citizens who are experts at this, let's get their feedback before we move forward. So that's kind of what I was thinking with that, would be helpful, you know, potentially. And I also, and I apologize, Michelle, if I missed this in the 141 pages of the of the transition plan, but is there a built-in report out, like an annual report or something that's generated? You're nodding. Okay, great.
Yeah, as the ADA coordinator, I'm required to keep track during the year of what, not just what the city's worked on, but I record all the complaints I get, the ADA complaints and the city's response. And also I record the reasonable accommodations. Everything is kept private for, grievances, reasonable accommodations, but I have a running spreadsheet where I keep track, and then there will be a report out each year, so.
And then there's a report of like how we're doing on the transition plan that we would do every year. Andy's nodding to. Okay, great. All right, cool. Because I could see that, that would be, helpful to keep us accountable as elected officials, is like that can, we could every year have that come before council, just how are we doing, and have the advisory group come and, hold us accountable. So.
Right, and plus, like, if you think about it, like, well, we have a bunch of people sitting here right now on this meeting, but how many years is this gonna go on? In 10 years, maybe none of us is gonna be sitting here, Michelle's gonna eventually retire, Andy's gonna retire. I'm not gonna be, on this meeting, I'm not, you know what I mean? Maybe in Lakewood still, who knows, but somebody's gonna take over, and we want it to be set up so that all this work wasn't for nothing, and so that it's set up right to be held accountable, so that, it's a working progress. A new mayor comes, a new administration comes, new city council members, and it has fallen off the plate of previous administrations, because we did have, I guess, the start of something before this, and it just didn't get fleshed out and put into work. So doing this could keep that in progress.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if this is the correct time, but so what does happen next? Let's assume the council accepts it. So how does the money start getting allocated for prioritized? Like, what happens next?
So as far as that's still being worked out right now, the budget is in process. So how that's going to be implemented, it's all part of the conversation right now. Is it a specific line item? Is it a percentage that's added to different projects? How much should it be? That's all right now being discussed.
Okay, so, but it's being considered for this budget, even though we haven't presented yet. Okay. Yeah, it was like, I do think about that. I'm like, now how do we make sure the next step happens? What happens next?
People have different ideas sometimes how that's going to happen. So I'll expect we'll try something, and then that'll be one of the reasons it's important to have that report out. So we tried this year for implementation. How did it go? Right? What are we going to do next time? And city council is great for digging into those reports. So they're very good at that. I expect them to be, so. Yep.
Yeah, and that's, we just started budget process, and so typically we had our first, I'm also on finance committee, and but during budget season, everybody goes to finance committee, whether they're on the committee or not. So we usually, the council members talked some about our priorities. I'm sure you'll be shocked to learn that I mentioned this as one of my priorities, but we can't afford, like, we just don't have that much money to do it all immediately, nor could we physically do that. So it's, like Michelle was saying, as it gets worked into things, but yeah, the next couple months we'll be setting up the budget for 2024. So it's good timing to get this to council now.
So I'm not sure. So is it zero sum when it comes to this? So like, if whatever funds are allocated, the implementation of this plan, is it taken from somewhere else? Is the budget increased? Zero sum.
Yeah. So there's only so much money. So, so that is always kind of and then we have, like a lot of this that would be like capital projects too. There's a capital budget. So like as things are scheduled to be redone, so it makes sense, like, okay, let's say we're repaving you know, Hilliard, and we're gonna do all the, you know, curbs or whatever, and or we have to replace the traffic light anyway that because somebody hit it. So now we're gonna put in, you know, one that has, you know, more features. So there's sort of multiple aspects, but yeah, so anything that's always the push and pull of budget season because
Right.
we all want all the things. So trying to figure out.
So I think going back to that commissioner committee we're discussing, I think that's why whatever their role is particularly important as time goes on. There's a voice to continue to have this funded too, I think is going to be really important. I mean, you know, obviously beyond that, there's lots of things, but I mean, I think that's, I mean, not to minimize, you know, everything that's going on, but without the money, I mean, kind of doesn't matter, right? I mean, you're creating a culture within the city and the community of the continued advocacy for these sorts of things is going to be really important too, and making sure there's, you know, as it becomes, I don't know, as our voice gets bigger, as people, if we can broaden it so that, you know, it isn't such a fight moving forward, that it is something that's just kind of accepted, and as people want to fund it, you know, there isn't pushback, you know, it is a tricky one, and you know, I think I'm preaching to the choir here that, you know, it's historically, this is a group that's ignored and marginalized. So that's something I think moving, you know, in our community, you know, I think that's what we can focus on. That's what we can really do, I think, moving forward. So hopefully that's something else that comes out of this group and whatever this committee is too.
Isn't there also a federal requirement that there's some kind of movement forward with this also? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think
Requirements,
Michelle is gonna be
unfunded
our
mandates. Unfunded
think-
mandates are our favorite thing in municipal cities, right?
I was gonna say, I think Michelle is gonna be our number one mover on this because that's like her full-time gig now, right, Michelle?
Well, I do have some other things I have to do at the city, but yes, I mean, it is a big part of my role as ADA coordinator is advocating for the implementation and using a lot of the tools that are in this transition plan. Steve did a great job helping us to prioritize areas to improve based on the number of people who use the program or the facility. So, you know, we do have some ways to kind of steer things and say, look, this is something we should do right away because it impacts a lot of people. So we've got good starting places. And then, you know, as we go on, it's just going to be a lot of work. Yeah, making sure that we're helping the most people we can each year.
And I just wanted to say that I did notice the wonderful new website with the little guy on it. I don't know what that guy is called, but the little dude that you click on and it gives you all the options.
Oh yeah, I've played around with it. And I know Steve tested it and said that it did whenever there were issues with the website. If you I think it's called Accessibility. If you activated that, he was able to fix the issues for various disabilities using it. So we did pretty well with that software on our website.
I wanted to ask Ami if she looked at it.
I have not yet. I've been off of my computer a lot lately.
Well, I'll be looking forward to hearing your feedback about it.
I'll probably run it by some people that I've been interacting with who have visual disabilities and more significant visual disabilities than mine and more significant fine motor control issues than mine to make sure that it's meeting their needs.
Right. See, Sarah, this is exactly why we need the accessibility committee, because everything has to go for a test drive, right? All right. So that all being said, do we want to do a formalized vote to recommend an accessibility commission ongoing for at least the life of the transition plan implementation, I guess you call it?
Yes. Motion.
Second,
Second.
All in
Second,
favor?
Christina.
all in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
aye.
Night.
Aye.
Okay, so
I think I heard
Um,
otherwise. There's two cameras off, so just verifying.
Yeah.
Hi, Christina.
So I know Michelle takes amazing notes, so I'm just gonna look at the minutes after the fact and hopefully write up a little something to say at city council meeting about the recommendation for an ongoing accessibility commission and all the details that all the things that we discussed regarding who we think should be on it and how long it should be in existence minimum and et cetera. And just like verbalize it at the meeting and hopefully then it'll be in the hands of you guys, Sarah.
Awesome. Well, I am looking forward to that handoff. And excited for my colleagues to see everybody's hard work on this. So thank you to everyone. I'll publicly thank you at the meeting too, but thank you here. I do have just a quick question on that note about the minutes from this meeting. How do those get approved if this is the last meeting?
Andy?
So, I think Andy's looked at this before and, you actually don't have to vote to approve the minutes for them to become the minutes.
Okay.
But of course, as we
don't-
always do, I will post them and I'll post them as a draft, not a final because it hasn't been voted on. And if anybody I can still circulate them and you could let me know if there's any errors. You know, certainly still have input in them, but yeah, we don't actually have to vote on them to make them the minutes. That's per that Robert's rules.
Okay, cool.
Not too many people object to them. That's the,
So you will.
make sure you get your corrections in so we can have them in ship shape.
So you will email them to us just like usual?
Yeah, I'll email them as per usual.
All right. I think we talked about everything, right?
We did. I would just take a moment to say thank you to everyone for all of your time and efforts and your worry and all the time you spent reading and observing over the past few years. It's really been just invaluable to the process. So thank you so much for your generosity, donating your time to the city. We really do appreciate all of your efforts and it's making a difference already. So thank you.
It was a pleasure being part of this group. I really appreciate everybody's input and everybody's hard work. So thank you.
And thank you for entrusting me and myself as your fearless leadership for the citizens portion of this group.
It's been such a blessing to get to know each and every one of you. You've all impacted my life for the better. And I can't imagine a better first experience of being on a citizen task force. And I'm just so grateful for all of you. Can we have reunions? I'll make cookies.
Yeah, I
long
was
as there's
gonna say,
cookies.
like, it would be nice if we had like we should probably, once Michelle sends out the final minutes and we plan on meeting at the city council meeting, maybe if anybody wants to try to plan an outing, just to kind of celebrate and say, yay, and see each other in person again, I think that would be cool.
I second that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm so over this whole virtual meeting thing. I like the in-person. And again,
Yeah, me
it was
too.
fun. Yeah.
All right, Michelle, we want a party.
All right,
Can
I'll
we
get
use Coke? Can we use Coke?
that. I don't know. Maybe it would be better to pick a public establishment that we could go to.
I just wonder if we can use that as an opportunity to recruit one, especially if we wait until they've decided what the follow-on group is going to be, or that it's going to exist, and maybe use our get together celebrating that we did this as a way to recruit people to be a part of that.
It's certainly an option.
Or we can just do both.
Yes, both and.
Right.
You guys never rest, do you? Always working. All right, sounds great, you guys. I will definitely look at some options for a reunion gathering recruitment opportunity for the group.
I just want to say, I think Tom has a baby near him because I saw him making some goo faces a couple times.
Yeah, we got
I'm
we got
hoping
it
it was a
recorded. We got
baby.
it
So-
recorded
so
too. Can we
when-
get some stills of that, Michelle?
She's in the process of going to bed right now, but it's not going super well. She's
Okay.
being pretty loud, but I was making a lot of faces at her. She was just staring at me.
I
from
saw you
across
were
the
both
couch.
laughing and everybody else was some like serious comment and we're like,
Yeah, right. Yes, I apologize if somebody was if I seemed like I was not listening to somebody's serious comment.
cute.
Baby tax. Need to see the baby tax.
Right? I know. I should have popped around before she went to bed.
Yeah.
All right,
We're
Yeah.
down to 8 minutes left. So anybody have any final words before we adjourn?
I won't be there on the 23rd. I'm going to be out of town. So if there is, Sarah, whatever the following meeting is, whenever that's voted on, if you could let us know. Just, I know you said you would, but just hopefully I can make that one. Any idea when that would be?
let me just pull up my calendar here. I can tell you when it won't be.
I mean, that's something, I guess.
So let's see. Let me see what I got booked out. So right now, because we are in budget season, that takes up a lot of committee time. Let me just, because committees almost always meet on Monday nights. So we have full council meetings the first and third Mondays of the month, committees before that on those Mondays, and then on the off Mondays, the Mondays that aren't first and third, we also have
Right,
committee.
gotcha. I
And
mean, don't worry about it.
okay, well. Yeah, well, we'll take a look. Once we know what committee it goes to, that'll make a difference too. If it goes to committee of the whole, that's full. It's committee of the whole is essentially all members of council, but in a committee setting rather than a regular council meeting, so that we just are focused on like that one or two topics rather
Right.
than the entire thing. So, the nice thing about going to committee of the whole is that it sort of forces all my colleagues to learn about something.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's harder to schedule. So we'll see what everybody wants to do.
Honestly, at this point, I'm more interested in the party anyway. So whatever. I mean,
I'm interested in the committee of the whole because it is harder to schedule, but also because of what you said,
Yeah.
right.
I will say, I have never seen any of the current members of council ever try to duck out and get away from accessibility issues. The current council team is really lovely about accessibility.
Good to hear. They better be.
Not just our.
I just
Uh,
want to add a note, which I think this group will probably appreciate. So I finally got all my hours logged and I took my exam and I actually passed for the ADA coordinator certification.
Yay.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
I want to take
I know,
that
like,
too.
no, and like the rest of my friends don't care, but accessibility people are like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That's really cool. I have
So-
one announcement to make in that I'm glad that you said that because I forgot that I wanted to announce this to you said that is that I actually had a meeting with the city of Cleveland, the director of community relations, the director of equal opportunity, and the director of HR. All three met with me and they are trying to get it going. That's all I could say. But I wanted to say that I actually found on LinkedIn that they have one employee that already works for the city that has her ADA certification. So I said, you have somebody that works here. I think she works in like the Department of Aging. But they didn't even know. And I said, well, there you go. There's your ADA coordinator. So
You got to start a business, Tracy. Somebody should pay you to do all this work.
Well, that's what volunteering is all about, right?
Yeah, but we need to be able to keep you in Lakewood, in the home that you love. And
I
you know,
think I am.
compensating you sufficiently that you can afford that is a
I
priority to me. at
appreciate
least.
that. I appreciate that. Well, I'm honored that you guys think that, and I am, I do receive payment in many ways, for volunteering, and I know all of you know volunteering is very rewarding and it's good for your mental health, and so there's a lot of good things that come from it.
Well, I'm gonna log off. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at council on the 23rd, those that can come, and I'll let you know once we have the committee meeting. I'm sure Michelle, one of us will email it out to everybody, what the schedule of meetings and stuff are. So thank you,
Tara.
everybody.
Bye.
All right, motion to adjourn this meeting.
Seconded,
Yes.
or making the motion.
All in favor?
I.
Yay. This concludes the ADA Transition Plan Task Force 2023.
Bye.
Night,
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Tracy. Thank you, Ami. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, little flex.